Good morning. Hello. My name is Tim with Plugged Into Leadership, your outlet for leadership success. And you have chosen to join me on Tea with Tim. I got my mug, my nice warm tea mug here. Oh, and I'm also joined by Alyson Garrido. Everyone say hi, Alyson. Hi, Alyson.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. I'm ecstatic to have Alyson on the show. Alyson is actually residing in New Zealand. So we've just gone international, everybody. Tea with Tim is international. Alyson, thank you so much for joining us this morning. One of the things that as you continue to grow in your leadership, as you continue to grow in your skills, that you might have to do is you might have to re-enter the workforce, or you might have to do an interview for a new position as you transition into something else. And those are some of the things that Alyson specializes in her coaching. So you can find Alyson on her website, Alyson Garrido Coaching. She's got a podcast. She's got some videos on there, some webinars. But today, she's going to help us maybe give us some tips and hints on maybe how to re-enter the workforce. So again, I've been in this position where I was working from home and I kind of hung out with my kids for a little over a year. And then I started to kind of say, okay, I'm going to re-enter the workforce. I'm going to get back into, a company. And it was a real transition. So if you're in that position and you're looking to get back into the workforce, Alyson, what are some things that we need to think about as we kind of prepare to get back into the workforce?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of the show and I was really excited to be on. So I'm really, really happy to be here with you today and appreciate your invitation.
Thank you.
But no, this is such a great topic because so many people do take time off for all different reasons, right? Like you are at home with your kids, you might just kind of need a break. You might be caring for a family member. There's tons and tons of reasons why people might step away. And one thing, I will back it up a little bit to think about as you are stepping away, how you think about it. Because it's really easy to say, I'm taking time off. And taking time off might mean a vacation where you're completely disconnected from work. But if you treat it, and I have to admit, I learned this from a close friend and colleague, Kelly, from Orange Grove Consulting, but I love it. She talks about if you're stepping away from the workforce, to think of it as a sabbatical. So when someone's on sabbatical, they're not on the beach, right? They might be on the beach, but they're keeping in touch and they're making sure that they're doing things and staying relevant to their field and up on trends and keeping in touch with people and kind of developments in their world. So that little mind shift, and I actually had a client decide not long ago that she needed to take a month off and just kind of not work for a while. She had been completely overwhelmed and burnt out, but she could give herself permission because it wasn't, I'm just hanging out, I'm completely disconnecting. It was, I'm taking some time away. I'm taking a sabbatical.
That's great.
So just that little shift. Do you think that you would have felt a little bit different about your time away, or it might have been different when you returned if you had thought of it that way, or how did you think?
Definitely. I mean, definitely, going back and thinking about it, it's really hard. I think one of the things for me taking time off was a cultural shift because I like to be with people. And not that my kids aren't people, but they're not adults. We don't have the same kind of conversations. We have to do things different. I don't know about you, but I don't usually take a diaper bag when I go out to lunch with colleagues. And you do that when you have small children and you're going out to lunch. So it's just a different kind of mind shift that I really did need to kind of get back into as I prepared to do interviews and prepared to continue to move back into that real world type thing. Not that my kids aren't real world, but the adult career world. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that's a good thing to think of from the beginning, how you're going to stay in touch and really keep those networks going. So when you do decide it's time to go back, if you aren't going back to the same field, it's good to really think about what are your values, what are your strengths. I use the Strengths Finder book a lot with people, and Gallup has done just worlds of research on the topic. But those that are using their strengths at work and beyond are just exponentially happier. So once you start to look at and the assessment's nice because you get to look at your strengths through someone else's eyes. It can be really hard to see yourself and what you're good at, but the Strengths Finder gives you some language around what you're good at, also suggest some fields that might play to those strengths. And when I talk with people about the Strengths Finder, what we're really looking at is, what does it look like when you flex those muscles? So how do you want to use those strengths? And that starts you from a place of possibility and options. And I think so often it's hard to find something that you're reaching toward versus just something you're pushing against. You know, like, I don't want to be home anymore. I don't want to do this, or I don't want to work for a bad boss. It's really easy to shift and say, you know, I want a boss that supports me. I want to be able to use this strength. And gosh, it's just such a different mood and mindset. You know, so really thinking it's okay if you're not going back to the same thing, but really thinking about, what are you reaching toward? It's also easy to say, I'm looking for a job, I'll just take anything. And that's never true. It's never true. Even if you think that it is. And I always think, I had a person in my office one day who shared with me that he was making a career change and he wanted to be a writer for television. I was in LA at the time. He wanted to be a writer for television, but he would do anything as long as he could write. And I said, well, what about copywriting to get your feet wet in the field? And he said, oh no, I'd never do that. Which is fair. He didn't have to do it, but he didn't mean it when he said he'd do anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So
and your messaging. Yeah. And your messaging matters. And so that kind of brings me to the third part, which is, so once you know what you want to do, the absolute most important part of job search is the people you're talking to. Because when you're talking to people about what you want, now you have this little army of people that are also looking for a job for you. And so if you're keeping in touch with people because you're on a sabbatical and you're bringing that diaper bag to lunch, and that's okay, you're giving yourself permission. And if you find that you want to go back to the same field or change something, really knowing people and having people looking for opportunities for you is so very important. And it's really easy to think, I don't have a good network, or my network isn't helpful. And I had a really interesting personal experience just this weekend. I have a good friend who is in environmental law. And so he is thinking about how he's going to expand his practice. I know what he does. We talk about it, but it's never been like a real topic and something he's sought my advice on. And so he started talking about, I'm looking at, maybe expanding my practice internationally. I'm thinking about what this will look like moving forward. And I said, oh, my brother-in-law works in oil and gas. You should talk to him. And it was like, it was never relevant for my brother-in-law to know what he did, or for him to know what my brother-in-law did. He knows I have nephews that I love, and that's all, right. And my brother-in-law knows that he's a close friend, but there was never a connection there. But I share that story because you never know who people know.
Exactly.
He wasn't asking me because I was a career coach. He was asking me because we were out to brunch and we were just talking about life.
Yeah.
So don't discount people. You never know who somebody's brother-in-law, best friend, nanny is. And they could be the people that make the introduction. So really spreading the word is so, so important.
Definitely. Well, I really appreciate that insight. I'm sure I can think of people that I know that watch the show that will benefit from those 3 points. And if you missed them, you can go back and check it out again. You can also check out her website. She's got tons of resources on there, webinars and podcasts and blogs. So check out her website. I got one more question for you. So as you grew as a leader, what was one thing that when you felt like you put your time and effort into this one thing, you saw the most benefit and the most growth out of that one thing?
Sure. For me, it was really meeting people where they are. I'm a person that runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And early in my career, I didn't understand that everyone wasn't running at 1,000,000 miles an hour like me. And I didn't tune into people having different motivation and different levels of, kind of wanting to get the next move or similar goals to me. And it was when I stepped back and started to look at people and meet them where they were and start to develop them based on their goals and desires and abilities, that personalized approach really changed my relationships with everyone.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, definitely helping to see people where they're at. Man, that just changes a lot. So I have a saying that I use a lot on the show that says we focus on we and not me. And I think that that's a perfect example of that, where we can come in and be a million miles a second. And some people may be like, oh, I'm here, I'm here. And if we can notice that, if we can understand where they're at, it's going to be a lot easier to make a connection and to help us grow and to help them grow. So we're focusing on we. So
Yeah.
Alyson, I really appreciate you being on the show today. One of the things that Alyson does really well is she helps you prepare for an interview. So one of the products, one of the outcomes that Alyson offers is interview prep. So if you're in that position where you're looking to either you're job searching right now, maybe you have an interview that you're looking to line up in the next few months, if you're looking to re-enter the workforce and you know that you're going to have interviews that you're going to have to do, Tea with Tim wants to help you do that. So we're going to provide some free sessions. Tea with Tim will pay for some free sessions with Alyson, and all you have to do to enter yourself into that is to share this video. So if you share this video, you will be entered into the weekly resource drawing, which will be sometime with Alyson. And even though she's in New Zealand, she can accommodate your time, and she can do things on video. It's great. She also has some resources that she might give you ahead of time to help prep for that. So we want to continue to help you grow as a leader and get to where you are going in your career. And part of that is having a great interview and know your story. So thank you so much, Alyson, for being on the show.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Tim.
you and all that you're doing to help people grow and help people continue in their careers and to change the world and be better leaders. So thank you so much for that. All
Thank
right.
you.
That is it for today for Tea with Tim. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.